Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to listen to right here at youtube.com/Steve Larson. Available wherever podcasts can be found. And, of course, stayed live at the Twitch, twitch.tv/Steve and Larson. We're doing things a little bit different this week because Larson's going on vacation this weekend.
Yep.
So instead of our news/UK Impact results roundup tomorrow, we're just doing a news show and some answering some questions and doing some Death Before Dishonor predictions and news stuff. So yeah,
we do have a new episode of Count Out going up tomorrow. Top 10 worst WWE name changes.
Give us a preview. What's just one of the names on that list, Larson?
Dewdrop,
definitely on that list. Terrible name.
Yeah.
So yeah, that should be a lot of fun. I enjoyed that episode. It was long for a count out. Usually we can get through a lot of that stuff like quickly, but I thought that we did pretty good going in depth on some of these awful name changes. So yeah, that's coming out tomorrow. This weekend over at twitch.tv/MFSteve here. Me and the Enforcer are going to be watching Death Before Dishonor, doing just some live reactions. We'll be doing channel bets, just hanging out, watching the show. We got a couple more matches added to it as of Dynamite. Who knows if they're going to add any more?
I believe on Tony Khan's call today that they're going to add more matches.
Oh, he confirmed they're going to add more matches. Okay, cool, right on. So we'll see how that all shakes out. But let's go ahead and dive into it. Given that we were just talking about Tony Khan, of course, MJF has been a big sort of topic of conversation, or had been, until he just sort of disappeared off the face of the planet after his scorching promo a couple weeks ago. So there's basically been zero update on his AEW status since that promo on the June 1st edition of Dynamite. When asked about MJF, usually Tony Khan will decline to comment. There hasn't been a lot in the way of like rumors floating around the wrestling internets. During a recent appearance on Café de Rene with Rene Dupree, MJF's former stablemate from his MLW days, Alex Hammerstone, offered up some pretty good insight into the situation from his point of view. These transcripts come to you via our friendos over at Fightful. And he said this: "I don't have an insider scoop. All I know is that if it's something that is a giant work, it's something that became that at a certain point. Because to a certain point, it was all very real. I know there were some legitimate, real frustrations there and real tensions. So I don't know at this point what's going on. I don't know exactly. But as far as my opinion of the whole situation, I have mixed views because I'm the type of guy who always says, because I always hate when fans try to talk bad on a company or wrestlers try to get a social media parade to support them to help them out of a contract or something. It's like you signed that. Nobody held a gun to your head and said, sign this. At some point, you said, okay, this is agreeable. And it's like if you sign a contract for $100,000 because you feel like that's a good offer, and then you've become a $200,000 wrestler, that's part of the gamble, because part of the gamble, too, is that you get the $100,000 contract, and then a year later, you're only worth $50,000, but you're still getting paid that $100,000. So it's just decisions we make. So on one hand, I do feel that." He continues. MJF's case is a little bit different because he was like, here's the measurements, here's the ratings, here's this, here's that, here's the sales, here's the segment views. And it wasn't a difference of a couple dollars. It's like, why are these people getting paid 5 to 10 times more than me just because of where they came from? What are they doing here? And I do think he's one of the best. It's not just about like everybody's like, oh man, he's a great talker, but he's a boring wrestler. He can't wrestle. I'm like, dude, he's a fantastic wrestler. And I remember thinking it when I saw him wrestle a couple of matches on some indie shows. But then after I wrestled him myself, I was like, oh my God, this guy's incredible. He's just so good. End quote.
Yeah, I would think if anybody has the inclination to think this is all a work from the very beginning, there's nothing in it for Hammerstone to say it's a work, you know?
There has been absolutely zero evidence that this has been a work from the start. And in fact, I don't know that there's a lot of evidence to suggest that it's a work now. I think his promo was approved. What he was going to say was approved. Yeah. If it's my speculation, we'll get to Hammerstone in a second. But to me, and I want to get your thoughts on this, what sort of lines up is there was an issue regarding this contract pay stuff, because absolutely when guys like Malachi Black or Miro or whoever comes in, granted, we like them, we like the work they do, but they're not really the AEW draw to AEW's business that MJF became. But you know they are probably making, or at a certain point, we're making 5 to 10 times more than MJF's original contract, or maybe even the one he negotiated a little bit later, which we heard about too. And it seems like they from my eyes, they came to an impasse that came to a head at Double or Nothing. He did what he did with Wardlow, and then they came to an agreement to not come to an agreement. AEW can't get on the same page as MJF, so they decided to not necessarily end it, but to table it. Yeah. Cut that promo, go out on a high note, and then we'll revisit it when, in the background, I guess. That's what it seems like to me. What's your take on it?
Yeah, I'm thinking along the same lines. Because the punctuation on MJF's promo on June 1st was when he looks in the camera and tells Tony Khan to fire him. And there wasn't a big deal, a story made about MJF being fired as you would expect to happen if this were storyline. Just with not really any fanfare, he was just taken off the roster, taken out of promotional materials. And, given how AEW at times tells stories, which is subtly, you could look at it through that viewpoint and think, okay, this is part of a story, but following MJF's promo, which was anything but subtle, you need that story beat on television, whether it's Tony Khan or someone having his proxy handed MJF his walking papers, or you have Tony Khan or his proxy saying, no, MJF, you're under contract, you can't leave, and I'm not going to fire you. None of that is played out on television at all.
Right. Yeah, right.
Tony Khan has been consistent. He doesn't comment on it.
Yeah, right.
So I think it's definitely a situation where things came to a head over Double or Nothing weekend. Seems like they had a conversation. It seems like they couldn't come to an agreement, and maybe the decision they came to was the best thing to do is just step away and then maybe revisit it at a time when they feel like they're more receptive to the other's point of view. Because
here's the thing to consider also. AEW could use MJF right now. They've got a lot of
injuries. Yeah,
they got a lot of injuries. So if this was still an active storyline, work, whatever you want to call it, it stands to reason that they would be dropping hints here or there. They would be trying to build some intrigue. So that's sort of where it stands. As far as what Hammerstone is saying, this is all interesting stuff because, he was a stablemate, probably friends with the guys, probably known him for a long time. And it's sort of confirming a little bit of what we had sort of speculated in terms of he signed a deal. He wants, and that's been reported. He signed a deal early on. It was reported that deal was shortly after he originally signed with AEW was renegotiated for a significantly higher amount, but still probably, when you go from, let's say, and I've used this figure jokingly, but let's say the original deal without knowing what was going to happen of AEW, let's say $60,000 for a weekly appearance, $60,000 for the year. Well, shortly after that, you renegotiate. Well, significant increase would still be $120,000 because that's double, but that's still about 1/10 of what, say, CM Punk is making or Bryan Danielson. So there still would be that big gap, even taking into effect the idea that originally these guys probably were not making nearly even close the amount of what the former WWE guys were making. Well, MJF is a unique situation, but who knows what he's asking for him. We've heard various things that he wants more money now, but not with an extension of years. And AEW is willing to offer more money now, but with a contract beyond 2024. And I don't know how you get around that. I mean, AEW could definitely use MJF, but they don't necessarily need him. They're still approaching 1 million, most weeks in the overall viewership. Pay-per-view buys are still really significantly high. They're about to launch this Ring of Honor, which seemingly, I get the feeling this is going to be a pretty big success as well. We're going to talk about that and what Tony Khan has to say about that in a moment here. But it does sort of feel like, I mean, I don't know if MJF is willing to sit out the next year and a half. And if he does, I mean, at some point, is he going to be in breach of contract? Because the contract you would think would be for a number of appearances that he wouldn't be fulfilling at that point. Like, would he then be able to hit the free agent market? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know. Yeah, without knowing the language of his deal and to that effect, what it entails, it's hard to really make a determination if it's, as WB does things where you sign a contract for a term of a number of years, but within that contract, there's a number of dates you have to work each year to get your downside guarantee. And I don't know if AEW contracts are kind of formulated the same way or not.
Yeah, who knows?
Don't know.
So it's interesting. It's interesting to hear somebody's point of view who's close to it. There's also a point of view from a guy who's not really close to it, but he's in the industry, kind of. Road Dogg.
Kind of.
Road Dogg was asked during an interview with Sportskeeda how MJF would fare should he make the jump to WWE. He said this. I'm not going to do a Road Dogg impression.
Oh, you really want to say, oh, you didn't know.
Oh, you didn't know, yeah. He says, I don't think he would work within the same parameters, and if he didn't, he wouldn't be there. He's not a huge guy. He has been bulking up, though, in the last couple of months while he was still on TV. He continues. He's not a huge guy. His in-ring work is good. He's not going to move the needle or anything, I don't think, but nobody does these days, so I'm not really talk-dogging him too much. But yeah, he's got a lot of creative control right now, and maybe AEW took some away from him, and that's where he's at. We'll see when he comes back and where they go. But yeah, I don't think he makes it too far in WWE. Mind you, this is the guy who referred to AEW as putting the jabroni title on Wardlow. He continues, I think Vince in my mind would use him as a manager like the next Paul Heyman or something like that. I met the kid and spent a day with him at an autograph signing. He's a pleasure. He was respectful, and I loved it, and I loved the kid. We'll just see what happens when he returns.
If they were talking about making Adam Cole a manager.
Oh, that's true. It's totally true.
Then, I wouldn't be surprised if they might think the same of MJF because, yeah, he bulks up. It depends how there's a couple things. Like, I don't know how stubborn WWE is going to be about wanting to bring everybody in that's like 6'2", 6'4", 235 pounds. You know what I mean? MJF has shown in AEW he is a needle mover. He gets numbers when he's on TV. And so if WWE is looking to sign him in a year and a half, 2 years, and they see that his segments, whether it be him talking or him wrestling, move the needle in terms of ratings, I would imagine they would set whatever reservations they may have about him maybe not being tall enough to sign him and bring him in. You would think because he's still really young, he's got a following, he can move the needle.
What's
but at the same time, I could see, like, Adam Cole is one of the best wrestlers in the world.
Yeah, but he wasn't established in AEW. You know what I mean? Like, Cody went away, built AEW, and WWE was like, oh, man, you need to come back to the family because look at everything you've done and look at what you are now. And I get the feeling, my first instinct is they would view that above his size, his actual physical stature. They would view what he meant, the first thing that you said, the needle mover stuff.
Yeah.
They would view that as, hey, come over here because you really did make a name for yourself out of nothing over in another company. You were a needle mover there. I don't think he would get necessarily the Cody treatment because Cody's got so much more sort of Vince-friendly baggage in terms of his father. Vince loves the legacy, the generational stuff. So I don't think he would have the most complex. I don't think he would replace Cody's contract as the most complex in WWE history.
No.
But I understand what Road Dogg's saying in terms of he'd probably be made a manager. I kind of doubt that because he's not just a dude off the street. He's a big deal in AEW. And I think Vince would look at that more than anything. I think Vince has a fondness for the days of the Monday Night Wars where somebody goes and builds up their name. Jericho in WCW, Jericho isn't the biggest guy either, and he came over, they made him a huge star. I sort of see that a little bit more than bringing him in as a manager. As opposed to, as Irk here in chat says, Cole's a big deal in NXT. NXT is something that Vince McMahon really didn't seem to give that much of a shit about. NXT did not draw the numbers that AEW did.
Well, also, too, the idea that you're taking a valuable part of AEW from them and bringing them to your own company.
Right. Cole was part of the WWE.
Already,
there's a big difference there. So, yeah, I don't know. It's Road Dogg. I'm not even sure if he knows who MJF is, to be honest with you, reading this stuff. I mean, it's whatever. When I heard he, I don't know. Everything I've heard about Road Dogg in general leads me to, but it's interesting to get other perspectives, I suppose.
I mean, it's a perspective of someone who's been in the WWE system for a very long time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a valid thing to look at for sure.
Let's take a break here to get a word from our sponsor, Athletic Greens. Steve, I'm sure you know that I'm always on the lookout for ways to get more energy and improve my gut health. And since I've been taking AG1 from Athletic Greens every day, I've seen my gut health improve and my energy go way up.
Awesome. That's great, man. Athletic,
it is.
Athletic Greens is the one thing with the best things. AG1 has 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to support your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, sleep, mental clarity, and aging. Plus, it contains less than 1 gram of sugar, has no artificial anything, no gross chemicals, and no GMOs.
Steve, you know I'm a creature of habit. Usually I have a tough time working new things into my usual routine, but I've had no problem working in AG1. I just make a serving before breakfast every morning. And AG1 can fit into your lifestyle, whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free. Plus, it costs less than $3 a day.
Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop and a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health.
To make it easy, Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/raw. Again, that's athleticgreens.com/raw to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. And now let's get a word from our sponsor, Bioptimizer. So, Steve, quiz time.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I guess so, yes.
I want you to tell me why magnesium is so important. Go.
Oh, gosh. Magnesium. Okay. Magnesium is, I don't know.
Huh?
I failed the test. I don't know.
That's all right, Steve. Here's something you should know. 75% of us don't get enough of it, even though it's involved in like 80% of our body's metabolic reactions.
What?
And yeah.
Wow.
And when you don't get enough magnesium, you can suffer from all sorts of ailments like poor sleep, low energy, and higher stress levels.
Oh my gosh. But hold on a second. Poor sleep,
What?
low energy,
Yeah.
high stress levels.
Yeah.
Those sounds like ingredients for a Larson.
I mean, that's true. I did suffer from poor sleep and low energy and high stress, but I've been taken by Optimizer's Magnesium Breakthrough, and I've noticed that my sleep has been better. My stress levels have gone down while my energy gone up.
Wow.
And even if you tried Magnesium Breakthrough before, you should try this new formula because it now includes cofactors like B6 and manganese that help with magnesium absorption, which makes it even more effective. All you got to do is take 2 capsules before bed, and you'll be astonished with how much better you sleep and how your mood and energy levels are improved the next day.
For an exclusive offer for Going In Raw listeners, go to magbreakthrough.com/raw and use code RAW during checkout to save 10% and get free shipping. Again, go to magbreakthrough.com/raw and use code RAW during checkout to save 10% and get free shipping. And before we get back to the show, let's get a word in from our sponsor, Liquid IV. As a lot of you friendos know, Larson and I like to get together to play basketball every week. And the one thing we've come to realize is that, man, it is really easy to get dehydrated, especially during these hot, blistering summer months.
And it has been hot here. And the last thing you want to do while it's so hot is suffer from the effects of dehydration, because it just completely ruins your day, Steve. I know what's happened to you. Tell us about it.
I've told you about this before, man. You know, we do a lot here at Going In Raw. We got like 3 channels, Friendo Club TV, Wrestle Juice, and Going In Raw. I like to stay productive. I like to do stuff. And if I'm suffering from a dehydration headache, which is what happens to me when I get really dehydrated, I can't do any of that stuff. I got to just lay in my bed and stare at the ceiling.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like much fun. My wife started using Liquid IV several months ago, and I gave it a try during and then after our weekly basketball games, and I have noticed a massive difference. I haven't felt as run down while playing, and I haven't been as sore the following day. And because of that, Liquid IV has become part of my routine. Not only when we're playing basketball, but anytime I know I'm going to be out exercising or just out in the sun a lot. I, like you, don't like getting dehydrated. Got to use Liquid IV.
So here's the thing. You take 1 stick of Liquid IV, you put it in 16 ounces of water, and boom, you're good to go. It hydrates you 2 times faster and more efficiently than water alone. And I've got my choice of 10 refreshing flavors from Liquid IV. They're like Concord grape, lemon lime, pina colada, and my favorite, tropical punch, because I love my tropical punch flavor like any good 10-year-old does.
I'll tell you what, Steve, we like our lemon lime flavor here in the Larson house. So go grab your Liquid IV in bulk nationwide at Costco, or you can get 25% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use code RAW at checkout. That's 25% off anything you order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code RAW at liquidiv.com. Let's talk about this, because at this point it seems plainly obvious that all these vignettes they're running on Raw are there to build the return of "You think you know me, Edge."
You know me.
And it seems like, based on these vignettes, that there's a lot of references to feuds of Edge's during the Ruthless Aggression era. A lot. So maybe this new gimmick for Edge, this new character for Edge, is rooted in that era. Well, Brian Alvarez reports that Edge could actually be returning to the gimmick that helped make him a main eventer. The Rated R Superstar saying on a recent Wrestling Observer Live, and these transcripts are from WrestlingNews.co, quote, "I think they've already got Rated R Superstar merch, so I'm pretty sure that he's returning as a Rated R Superstar. Now, what that means is a babyface or a heel, I don't know. I don't think he's coming back to Judgment Day, especially because he left Judgment Day. He left because he didn't want to be involved with anything spooky, but then they haven't done anything spooky. So I don't know if the existence of Rated R Superstar merchandise is necessarily an absolute indicator that he's returning that gimmick, because throughout Edge's history, even when he was retired, they would have essentially like retro merch on the site, including Rated R Superstar stuff.
Right.
Now, that's not to say that they're not returning that gimmick. But I think just having merch available isn't a terribly strong indication that that's going to be the case by itself.
No, I agree. I think, look, if there's one thing that Edge has shown a desire to do and a proclivity to do, is to look forward, not back.
He doesn't want to be nostalgic. No.
This right here really doesn't scream to me that he's coming back as the Rated R Superstar, the Rated TV 14 Superstar. No, this looks like it's this, to me, feels like the vignettes anyways. Feels like it's sort of a, I don't know, like a No Country for Old Men thing. I know we talk about that movie a lot here. But, you know, the premise of that movie is time passes you by and the world moves on and you don't. And when he's going back to look at his history and see, you know, the rubble of the past, symbolically all around him, he's gonna come back and be like an old gunslinger type. Is sort of what I'm getting from it. He tried something new with this Judgment Day, and then they kicked him out in storyline. Evidently, according to the reports, he left because they wanted to do something spooky, and Alvarez is right. They're not doing anything spooky with him, so that's weird. They're like, oh yeah, we're gonna do something spooky with it. And they're just like, it's a bad idea. They're like, okay, fine, you can get out of it. This is a bad idea.
Yeah, Edge was right. This is a bad idea.
Right. So he's going to reflect on his past to inform his future. I don't think that, to me, that doesn't scream the guy who's having the live sex show, though.
Yeah, I know. And I know Edge, if you set the Judgment Day stuff aside, because that was like the one real kind of outlier amongst all his various iterations since he's come back. Mm-hmm. Like we saw pretty much the Rated R Superstar in the build to the Mania match, him and Roman and Daniel Bryan.
He likes to reference his past. Yeah, and this is where it's no different than Jericho. For this match, I'm going to be the Painmaker.
Exactly, and he was seemingly channeling Rated R Superstar during that time. And one thing Edge has done, again, save for the Judgment Day stuff, is always kind of bring in aspects of his various characters and kind of melded them into what he was doing.
Reference the Brood,
during this current run without really leaning specifically on anyone.
Mm-hmm. Now, what could be interesting is if he went even further back. I went back and I watched some of the original Edge vignettes.
Oh, you want to be Sexton Hardcastle?
Sorry, a little bit further past that. The original ones where he's like walking around subways and getting into scuffles and stuff. Those were so well done, by the way. Those look really, really great. Of course, he's a great looking guy. But he looks so cool. So maybe he'll reference something like that where he'll do the old 1997 Sting thing where he'll be up in the rafters or something goofy like that. Just sort of observing everything before he strikes. I don't know. I get the feeling that Edge at this point in his career is interested in exploring new things. And if part of that is, hey, I want to explore this guy who, clearly the world that he's in has passed him by. He thought he was starting something new with Judgment Day and they jumped him out of it. That's going to cause somebody to reflect. And I feel like Adam Copeland, the guy behind the camera, I think that's something that he might find interesting to explore as opposed to let's put on these red, white, and black tights and just be, I guess, a new, more vicious version of me or an old vicious version of me. I think he probably wants to move ahead, but I guess we'll find out eventually. He's going to be back sooner than later.
Yeah, maybe as soon as Raw this week. Speaking of wrestlers coming back to their home companies, we found out today that the Briscoes are staying in Ring of Honor. So during today's Death Before Dishonor media call, Fightful Sean Ross Sapp asked Tony Khan if there were any wrestlers signed with Ring of Honor that hadn't been announced publicly yet, and Khan answered that there were, including Briscoes.
Them boys.
This is what Tony Khan had to say, quote, the Briscoes are under contract to Ring of Honor, and they are under long-term contracts. And I think there are some other developmental wrestlers, but really the key, probably the biggest name that are exclusively signed to Ring of Honor are the Briscoes. They are some of the biggest names in Ring of Honor history. They're Hall of Famers. There are some others, but I think those would be a great example of the key act where they haven't really appeared in AEW yet, but they are signed to Ring of Honor. So we talked about this yesterday, whether this match with FTR they have coming up on Saturday is indication whether they signed or not. I was a little hesitant to come conclusively yes. Tony Khan has gotten rid of any ambiguity of the situation. Dem boys staying in Ring of Honor, which makes sense. They dropped those Impact titles. They had them briefly. I was kind of surprised when they lost them. I guess they want to go back to ROH.
I'd figured if AEW, if Warner Media had any issues with them or their past, that would preclude AEW in any way, shape, or form from having him in the company, they just wouldn't be doing this match. And so it stood to reason that would be the case. So that's good. They're institutions in Ring of Honor. It'd be kind of weird. Out of all the people who were with Ring of Honor, it'd be kind of most weird if the Briscoes weren't there. We've seen the Briscoes in a number of different places, but Ring of Honor, especially this new iteration, which I'm pretty excited about. I was not the biggest Ring of Honor guy since we've sort of been doing this, just because I was not a fan of the presentation. Well, everything I've seen right now of their presentation kind of speaks to me. It has that sort of NXT black and gold brand feel to it, just with red instead of gold. And I'm interested in the matches. Apparently we're going to get even more matches announced, which is fine. But no, I'm interested. I want to see what the presentation's like, beyond just the graphics and stuff. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of alternative it would be to AEW's programming. What is it going to feel like? What's it going to look like? What's the crowd energy going to be like? And then just go from there. But yeah, the Briscoes being there, that's cool. That's good.
Yeah. Elsewhere during the media call, Tony Khan also talked about Ring of Honor getting a TV deal. These transcripts come to you from Fightful. So he had to say, quote, "So with Ring of Honor, we haven't gotten a weekly TV deal yet. I say yet because it is something that is important to me. I really think we will get a weekly Ring of Honor show, but I'm not going to do it until the distribution deal makes sense and is right for everybody," he continues. I think he was asked specifically about talks with Warner. He says, "I have talked to Warner Brothers Discovery, and I'm continuing to talk to Warner Brothers Discovery about it. I had worked with them to get Death Before Dishonor on Bleacher Report, where it'll be available this weekend. I think that's a really positive step. The first time Ring of Honor has worked with Warner Brothers Discovery. I believe it's going to be one of the biggest pay-per-views in Ring of Honor history. So I spoke to them yesterday, and they're really excited about this event. There has been some good pre-ordering. It's a different pattern than AEW, but for Ring of Honor, this is going to turn out to be one of the strongest shows in their 20-year history producing events." So he continues, "I think it's a great way to start the partnership with this event, get Warner Brothers Discovery familiar with the Ring of Honor brand, which is happening. We've been in Atlanta this week, one of the home cities of Warner Brothers Discovery. A lot of executives have come to the show and been around AEW and also been to a lot of, been also around a lot of the great Ring of Honor stars. So I think there's definitely appetite on both sides and interest. Like I said, we're starting things out together with our first pay-per-view event." He said, "I would really love to parlay that into weekly TV for Ring of Honor, which would be, I think, great for the wrestling fans and obviously great for everyone working with Ring of Honor."
I mentioned this before. I feel like this show for Tony has a lot riding on it, namely weekly TV. I mean, it seems clear as day that he is loading this thing up, and he wants to point to it to all these Warner executives in their suits and ties or something, and say, people like this. This will draw. People will enjoy this Thursdays. And
Thursdays. 1 hour show on Thursdays.
1 hour show. 1 hour, by the way.
1 hour. 1 hour show on
single hour. It's all you need.
On Thursdays. It's all you need right now.
It's all you need. 1 hour.
So I think it'd be awesome if they do their own 1 hour show, and then you could still have some crossover with Dynamite and Rampage. I think that would be great, because it helped promote Ring of Honor on Thursday nights.
I would actually be not opposed to, 1 hour on TV and then do like a 1 hour thing on YouTube. Have a couple of smaller matches, do some vignettes, whatever. And yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, it's probably going to end up being 2 hours. Like that's going to be the thing. Yeah.
The norm now for wrestling television.
It is. But yeah, it seems clear that he's probably got a lot riding on this. I think he really wants to get a TV deal done because that's where the money is. I hope it doesn't end up being on. I hope he doesn't mean it's going to be on like Bleacher Report. Yeah. Like I wouldn't want to see it there.
No, but I guess, maybe it'd be a situation where they'll get a deal that maybe isn't ideal, but it's distribution. And maybe from the Warner Discovery side of things, they want to get eyeballs on their streaming service here with the Bleacher Report. See how it does there first. Not ideal, but it's a foot in the door. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah.
Anyways, do you want to talk Death Before Dishonor predictions? Unofficial, of course. We'll submit our official predictions before the show this Saturday. Yep. I got to remember to do them.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'm not too busy.
Oh, man. I hope you are too busy.
No, I hope not, because we're all tied.
Gone.
All tied.
Take yourself right out of it.
No, not going to happen. No. So as of, what time is it? About 1 o'clock on Thursday, there's been 7 matches announced with promises that we're going to get more on Rampage tomorrow night. Let's kick off here with, I think, is a match in the kickoff show. You got Allison Kay taking on Willow Nightingale. Steve, who do you got?
So hold on a second. So I got Willow. She's going to be a big part of Ring of Honor, and I'll be honest with you. Right now, Willow is my pick to take that title or titles or whatever. When Willow's going to be Jade's first loss, and it's probably going to be a year or two from now. It's going to be a long time from now. I'm telling you, Willow has all the charisma in the world. She's a terrific wrestler. You cannot take your eyes off her when you see her. She can make huge money for AEW.
Yeah.
But you start her off in Ring of Honor. You tell a story with her there over the next year or so. And then when she gets her call up to main roster AEW, I mean, I know she's already been there. And who knows, maybe they'll play it both. She'll be doing both of them. I don't know. But if she becomes like a fixture in Ring of Honor, and they really make her the face of the women's division, and then she comes up and she beats Jade, that could be a rivalry for like decades. You know what I mean?
Could be.
Yeah, I got Willow Nightingale. I got I don't know, 6. All
right, I got Willow with 5. I think you said.
Love Allison Kay though. I hope that she actually is part of Ring of Honor as well.
Yeah,
I think she is terrific, and yeah, I think that's great. But I think Willow, you go with Willow here.
Yeah. Next for the Pure title, Wheeler Yuta versus the challenger Daniel Garcia. I'm going Wheeler with 6. They love Wheeler Yuta. Jericho just won on Dynamite. So if you look at this, all still part of the larger Blackpool Combat Club versus Jericho Appreciation Society feud. That means Blackpool Combat Club is due for a win. Wheeler Yuta, 6 confidence.
I got Wheeler Yuta with 2 confidence points. I think that him and Garcia are in very similar spots. The entertainers, they're on a roll right now. I would be surprised but not shocked if Garcia won. That's why I only have 2 confidence points on this. Still have it on Yuta, but I feel like this is borderline toss-up territory for me.
Interesting. Definitely not a toss-up this next match. The Righteous, the Ring of Honor 6-man tag champs, taking on Dalton Castle and the Boys. Steve, how many confidence points do you have in Dalton Castle and the Boys?
I got a single one, and I might flip my answer on this one. So Dalton Castle and the Boys have actually been Ring of Honor 6-man champs before. I looked this up because I'm like, come on, man. There's 2 people here who are made to eat the pin. Now, I don't really know anything about Dutch. I know a little bit about Bateman. I like Bateman. He's got a great vibe to him. He's got the sort of the Manson thing going. And then Vincent, of course, literally is trying to be Manson. But I don't know. I've got 1 confidence point. The Righteous, I don't know. Maybe Tony would keep the titles on him to have like an actual 6-man, like the Gates of Agony with Brian Cage, take the titles off of the Righteous, who seem a little bit more of a legitimate threat than Dalton Castle and the Boys. But then Dalton Castle and the Boys are much loved, and so maybe you have some heels take those titles off them. So yeah, I got Dalton and the Boys, but only 1 confidence point here.
I got Dalton the Boys with 4. This is a Ring of Honor show. Vincent has honor no more. He's an Impact now. Dalton the Boys are totally winning this.
That's such a weird sticking point for you though. That's interesting to me because like they've got a good working relationship. Like he doesn't have to be there all the time. Vincent.
Dalton the Boys, Steve. Next, for the Women's Championship, Mercedes Martinez, champion, taking on Serena Deeb. I got Mercedes with 2. I feel like she's probably going to win this. But at the same time, they could maybe trade that belt back a couple times here or there. But yeah, right now, Mercedes 2 confidence points.
Yeah, I'm on the fence with this one as well. I got 3 confidence points, but I could switch this to lower confidence points. And I could also switch the outcome because I think there's a chance Serena Deeb could take this title, man. I really do. Mercedes Martinez has already had I want to say 6, somewhere between 4 and 6 title defenses with that Ring of Honor title. A lot of them taking place on Dark and Elevation. She's had a couple 4, I think, title defenses on the YouTube shows. So it's not like, oh, she's only had 1 title defense, you know? It's like she's had her fair share of title defenses. So I don't know. I might go with Deeb. Some of it depends on what's going to happen on if they do anything on Rampage with these 2. Because last I remember, Mercedes had the upper hand on Serena, throwing her out of the ring at the end of Serena's last match on Rampage last week. So, or Dynamite, one of them, I forget. So, yeah, I mean, right now, the go-home math is in favor of Serena Deeb, but they might do something on...
Yeah, that was also like more than a week ago. So
they might have done something on Darker Elevation this week. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
So, Deeb's not a terrible pick here.
Next, FTR versus the Briscoes for the tag titles. I guess we both have FTR with 7.
FTR with 7.
You know, with the news that the Briscoes had signed, it kind of gave me a bit of pause, not to pick the Briscoes, but to not put all confidence points on FTR. But 2020 is the year of FTR. They're going to win this.
Well, 2022 is as well.
That's what I meant to say, 2022.
My favorite was last night in your notes. You put, Cash said something like,
2002
has been our year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, Dax cut a promo about his little daughter.
I know.
Like that. That's all the confidence points I need right there. So, yeah, 7. Yeah.
Next, we have for the TV title, Samoa Joe taking on Jay Lethal. Steve, who do you got?
I got Samoa Joe. He's finally coming back to work. They did the big angle where they took him out. They've been running their mouths this whole time. They're probably going to dismantle. Isn't the Daniels match happening on Rampage?
Yeah.
I haven't looked at spoilers, but they're probably going to absolutely annihilate him. So yeah, I got Joe with what we got here? 4 confidence points.
4. All right, I got Joe with 1. I mean, there's steep odds that Joe's facing. He's got to worry about Jay Lethal, Sanjay Dutt, and of course Satnam Singh.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't know what plans they might have for Joe after Death Before Dishonor, whether they want to get him on AEW full time. I don't know. So that's my only hesitation, putting more on Samoa Joe.
All right. And in our main event, Jonathan Gresham, who has been Ring of Honor champion for which feels like a long time, but you pointed out the other day that it hasn't actually been that
like
long.
November, December, yeah.
My goodness, that feels like forever ago.
I know.
So in Steve time, it's been like 3 years.
Yes.
But here's the thing. Claudio's a big deal. He's going to clearly want his biggest name. Do I already have? Where's my 6? Oh, I use that for my 6. Oh, this is going to be this is my 5?
You're 5, yeah.
I'm going to put this one 6. I'm going to bring Willow down to 5. Again, these are all preliminary.
Exactly.
Yeah, Claudio with 6. I mean, come on. He's going to want him to be the face of Ring of Honor.
Yeah, probably. But then again, Claudio would have to deal with Gates Vagany, Brian Cage, I guess, and trying to win this title. So I think Claudio's going to win. I'm not going to put a whole lot on it. I'm way more confident that Dalton Castle and the boys are going to win those 6-man tag titles. I'll tell you what.
You know, it's here's the thing. Your disposition when you're talking about Castle and the boys, from the moment you mentioned it yesterday, sounded like you were just trolling. You're trying some misdirection here.
You're overanalyzing.
No, I can read you pretty well. Well.
You're the same person when I'm making a joke of being sarcastic. You think I'm serious. You can't read me that well.
I think half the time you are being serious, and then you try to kayfabe your way out of it.
But you don't know. You don't know that for sure. You can't read me that well.
Yeah.
Anyways, you want to answer some questions?
Yeah, let's answer some questions.
We
have a thing up here, I think, on the Twitter is where I put it.
I put one on YouTube as well.
Awesome.
I didn't think we had done that this week, so I did. Let's see here. YouTubian asked, with Anna Jay seemingly leaving Dark Order after a heel turn, do you think there's a genuine chance that Wyndham in AEW becomes a reality now? No, because I don't think there's a whole lot of emphasis being put on the Dark Order currently. They're all just kind of gone their separate ways, and I don't know. It kind of feels like after Grayson and Alan Angels left, whatever opportunity the Dark Order had to really become something just kind of fizzled out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, it seemed like they were part of Hangman's story on his rise to be champion.
Mm-hmm.
But once he won the title, they weren't really on the show very much.
Yeah.
Still kind of aren't. Right now, they're on, again, to serve Hangman's story more than anything else.
Yeah.
So I would be surprised. I'd be surprised if they brought in Wyndham Rotunda to lead the Dark Order. I'd be pretty surprised.
I would be surprised if they brought in Wyndham Rotunda. I sort of feel like it's still a 50-50 chance that he either, I'm sorry, let's do this. It's a 33 and a third, 33 and a third, and 33 and a third chance that he goes to AEW, WWE, or just doesn't do wrestling, just stays in Hollywood. I honestly think, and that's not, I just think that like it's possible that WWE throws him a bunch of money to come back because they might need him for, a big, because they understand that, hey, it'd be a big return for him if he came back. I honestly feel like it's more like, the 40 and 20 that WWE, Hollywood, and then 20 would be AEW. If he hasn't gone to AEW by now, I don't know that he will. And I don't know that he's
probably
fit
still
in
in post
with
for that
AEW.
movie he did.
What's that?
He's probably still doing posts for that movie he did.
I have no idea. I don't know.
I don't know
Everybody likes money though, and in Hollywood especially, the Orson Welles thing. You go out and do some fish sticks. You go out and do a WrestleMania so you can make more movies.
Could be.
Let's see here. Lord Ziffer, if Balor's WWE deal ended and he showed up in AEW, where on the card do you think he would fall? Let's say he debuted it All Out. That'd be cool.
Well, I mean, he's a pretty huge name.
He'd be in Danielson territory.
Yeah, he would be.
He'd be doing high-profile stuff.
You'd be in Danielson Cole territory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think that he'd be considered the plus delta that freaking Tony Khan refers to as CM Punk.
Yeah, he wouldn't be in Phil territory, no.
He wouldn't be in Mox territory. He wouldn't be in Jericho territory. But he'd be in Danielson territory. I mean, Danielson could be the champion. Honestly, he'd sort of be like just under Danielson, I feel.
Yeah. Jason Lewis says, you find out that over Mania week in LA, there's going to be a Big Three style basketball competition involving wrestling podcasters. Power rank those teams in relation to our squad, which is you and me and the Enforcer.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Does the Enforcer ball?
I don't know.
That sounds cool. I want to do that. Shit, I don't know. I don't know who would be on. I know Sean. I think Sean balls.
Yeah.
I don't know who would be on his team, though.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I mean, he's a pretty athletic dude. He's done like wrestling and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'd probably give him the edge depending on who is on his team. After that, I don't know who balls. I don't know. Does Brian Zane? Does he
I have
ball?
no idea.
I could probably beat Brian Zane in basketball.
Well, it's not 1-on-1. This is a team effort here.
No, I know, but I got Zane.
Oh, all right.
We're not playing zone, man. We're playing man on man.
Oh, no, we're playing zone. Come on.
Dope says Steve is a Curry, so I'm going with y'all. If we're on, we're on. Yeah, absolutely.
If I was shooting like I was 2 weeks ago, yeah, I'd feel great.
Yeah.
If I was shooting like I was yesterday, not so much.
Hopefully they'd be playing the same kind of defense I was playing 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I know. Which case?
Let's see here. Well, Lucela says, knowing Jericho is 51, does it make you nervous to watching him do all the crazy spots? So the barbed wire doesn't make me nervous because that's just you fall and it kind of it scrapes you. It's just glorified scrapes.
So long as if it doesn't scrape you in like an area where your skin may be a little thin,
Yeah.
If you're taking on your back and stuff, yeah, that's fine. If you're getting it like right here in your elbow pit,
yeah. But that doesn't make me nearly as nervous as taking a high. The blood and guts fall last year. That's got to be it. I don't want to see Jericho fall from anything anymore. I just don't.
Yeah.
I really don't want to see Sammy do that, but he's young and he still has a lot of career ahead of him. But Jericho, don't need it. He's still a great promo. He seems to want to, again, move forward and not backwards, and I've always appreciated that about Jericho. And he seems to love working with talent that he really finds value in, like Eddie Kingston. That's what I value Jericho for, not for any high spots. So I don't need to see that stuff anymore.
No, I don't need to
but
see
barbed
it.
wire's not that bad.
Yeah. Marvel, should all major wrestling promotions have an equivalent to Money in the Bank? It's such a good concept that only works in pro wrestling. Any other scenario would seem weird. So AEW kind of has that with the poker chip. If you win, like the casino, well, any other casino stuff, you get a title shot. You get to cash in when you want to. It's not exactly the same in terms of cashing in like after a match, but you get a guaranteed title match out of it. Impact, they got the option C. Again, it's not quite the same, but you can cash something in for a title shot. I always liked how Lucha Underground did the Gifts of the Gods title, which was its own championship that people fought for. But then also, when you want to, you can cash in for a title opportunity.
Nobody does that concept better than Money in the Bank, better than WWE. Now, in execution,
I think it's the only one that does the opportunistic cash
in execution. Like we saw Moose win the Call Your Spot thing.
Oh yeah.
We saw that, but that's not a fixture of Impact. They have the option C thing, which is a declaration, not a cash in. Nobody, and I think just because it would be considered too much of a ripoff, they have the Money in the Bank is the perfectly conceived concept for that thing, for the cash in. The fact that somebody has it and they carry it around and they can tease it, and then, are they going to cash in here? Are they going to cash in here? Are they going to be able to cash in? The various options and opportunities they have for that is so brilliant. And yes, they mess it up more often than not, but it's always exciting when somebody has it. It's like, what are they going to do with it? What are they going to do with it? Who's going to win it? It's as big as the Royal Rumble now. And I don't know if anybody else can put their own twist on it that doesn't come off like a ripoff of Money in the Bank, or if anybody could put a twist on it that wouldn't ultimately just feel like a ripoff.
Yeah. F-Pop asked, power rank 3 matches that can main event All Out that isn't Punk versus Moxley. Oh, it's FTR and Young Bucks for all the... well, I guess the Young Bucks would have to win the tag titles back, but the FTR versus Young Bucks.
Okay, 3 matches.
So that's more likely to main event Full Gear.
You know what?
All Out.
Sack up. Thunder Rosa versus Jade Cargill.
There you go.
Jade Cargill standing tall at the end of All Out.
Title for title. Yep.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. That's the match. That's my number 1.
That'd be good.
Somebody mentioned it yesterday, Mox versus Jericho. They're 2 big names. They're 2 big names. Is it what I would want to see? Would I want to see that over?
No, I got it. Sting versus Mox.
Sting's
Talk
a big
about
deal.
Names.
Sting's a big deal. We have a question about Sting here. It is from NJWP. Is it weird to you that you're less scared about Sting matches than other Legends matches? For example, Goldberg. Sting.
Well, here's the thing. Sting, throughout his career, was a good in-ring worker.
Yeah.
There's one major difference. Sting, since he's come back, hasn't had a match where I felt like he was a danger to himself or his opponent. That's the second major difference.
They have had Sting do things that I am shocked by. All the falling. It's all just the falling.
It's the falling, yes.
They have also, besides that, and you have like 5 guys standing there, but Sting seems to love that shit.
Yeah.
But what you said is absolutely right. I don't feel like they've put him in a position where he can injure other people. You're not really, there's not a whole, you can hurt somebody doing a jackhammer if you can't get them upright,
Yes.
I don't know how many people are going to get hurt eating a scorpion death drop. I don't know how many people are going to get hurt eating that lame stinger splash. You know what I mean? Like his moveset is beneficial to the fact that he's like 1 million years old. He doesn't walk around like he's already injured. From what I understand, he doesn't try to concuss himself prior to matches. Goldberg does. He does all that stuff.
He does.
Sting just seems a bit more protected in AEW than what they try to do with Goldberg, which is make him come off like indestructible at the age of 60 or whatever. And alone, a man alone, you know, like with Sting. Yeah. He sells chair shots and shit.
Yeah.
But, there are some obvious differences. Now, when Sting goes up and he's obviously about to splash on somebody from up high, I get freaked out. I don't want to see this dude break his hip.
Nope.
So I get freaked out. But they surround him with people. They put him with Darby, who's taken all the bumps, you know?
Yeah.
Let's see here. This is a good one here. Hart the Dutch, he says, which non-deathmatch wrestlers do you want to see compete in a death match?
Brock Lesnar. Imagine what could have been if he was into the idea of how Mox wanted to do their match.
What a nightmare that would be. That's like a horror movie. That's a good answer. Morbid says The Miz. I would actually dig that. I think that watch The Miz do the Cardona thing where he goes to GCW. I think that could be wildly entertaining.
Yeah.
We'll end on this one. Brandon asks, you've been doing this a while now. How do you keep up the excitement for the different wrestling products? He says, I've definitely lost mine for even AEW, which I was so pumped for at the beginning. So curious if it still has that luster for you guys. I think the fact that, number one, this is our job. Like, this is what we do. Helps, obviously, because it's not like we've got worries and concerns over a day job on top of the fact that we're both family guys. And then, we got to watch all this wrestling on top of that. So it does make it easier because we're able to devote working hours to watching wrestling. And I pinch myself every day because I feel very lucky to be able to do this. That's part of it as well. I feel very blessed to do what we do for a living.
Oh, yeah.
And that does, when Raw is particularly bad, it helps. It helps with that. It's like, oh, man, if the worst thing I have to say about my life is, oh, man, I have to watch wrestling, even if it's bad, it's like, okay, it's not whatever. But beyond that, I don't know. I'm this type that I can always find something enjoyable out of even the worst products. I mean, even when Raw was at its worst, we did have to change our schedule so that we didn't have to review it right afterwards because I don't like reviewing stuff when with having a headache. I just don't. And that's what I was landing on. But I genuinely enjoy wrestling. I enjoy pretty much every aspect of it. And if I know that there's something that's bad, I know that you and I are going to be laughing our asses over it, reviewing it usually. I mean, look at our reviews of NXT sort of prove that out. So, yeah, I don't know. I still find it fascinating.
Yeah, it's a fascinating world, both in the ring and outside of the ring, with some very interesting characters involved in it still. But I think more than anything, it's even back when we were in college, we used to watch wrestling and then just talk about it.
Yeah.
And laugh about the stuff that we found funny and pick apart the stuff that we found interesting. And whether we were covering wrestling or movies or TV or whatever, I think that's the aspect of it for me that I still enjoy. And I don't know if I'll ever reach a point where I don't enjoy it. It's just discussing things that we like, don't like, found funny, whatever, thought could be different.
Yeah.
And that's regardless of the medium. It just so happens that we both really like wrestling, and we found a way to make this our job.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the thing. It always keeps it fresh. Is that there's always something new to talk about. It just is. So.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There's always something new to talk about. Story directions, et cetera, new wrestlers to discover. One thing I love, I've talked about this before, is I really enjoyed the period of time when Impact would go out and tape their show using other promotions. And I saw this a little bit last week with Elevation, I think it was. Now with Dark, AEW Dark, they did the Rev Pro match with Pac and Shooter. Thunder Rosa was in Japan. And I love seeing different presentations, how other places creatively interpret wrestling. I love that because I just love seeing people interpret something that I really enjoy in a different manner. So, yeah. But, I mean, there are certain things that I just can't get enough of, man. Like Star Trek, can't get enough of Star Trek. basketball. I can sit there and watch high school basketball if it's on the TV, and watch college basketball. I can watch any form of basketball just because I enjoy watching it happen. And wrestling is similar to that. I just enjoy watching it.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, there you go. Anyways, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Have a good weekend. Hopefully, I'll see you with the Enforcer on Saturday for Death Before the Dishonor Rings of Honor. Yeah.
No more.
Twitch. No more. Yeah. Twitch.tv/MF Steve here. Thanks, everybody. Till next time. We'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.
There it is.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Stone Cold Steve Austin impersonator Phil McDonald, here to tell you to go support Going In Raw and Friendo Club at patreon.com/Steven Larson. They got bonus episodes, ad-free audio, a weekly newsletter rounding up the weekend wrestling news, and a bunch more. Patreon.com/Steven Larson. Go support or get hit with a stunner.